the feet up in the body. And the goal today really is to give you guys some stretches and mobility techniques or drills to do that will help improve your form on specific exercises. So I'll call it out and say, hey, this specific drill is going to help with your form on a squat or on a shoulder press. And then it's also going to help potentially reduce pain or inflammation or tendonitis in certain areas that you might have it in the muscles related to those joints. Okay? So and it's just like kind of like a chill class. So if you guys have questions, just raise your hand. We'll go kind of like demonstration, and then I'll come around and help each of you, and then we'll just like move on that way and see what all we get through. Sound good? Okay. Cool. All right. So first thing is, let's just go ahead and warm up our body just a little bit. We don't have to do a super extensive warm up today, but it is good to get the blood flowing. So just let your arms kind of hang. Let's have you go right over there, Mike. Just let your arms hang.
And then if you need a mat,
open the low back,
grab that
back
one
foot. Imagine that your arms are ropes and there's rocks tied to the end of them and they just whip around your body. Ow. Okay, big inhale, reach up. And then go forward and stretch your hamstrings tight. Keep your back straight if you can. If you round a little bit, that's fine. And then come up. Let's do one more. Okay, and then let's do reverse arm circles. Backwards, opening the chest. Activating some external rotation muscles. Right there. Oh. My mask is falling. Okay, we're going to do that little shoulder jiu-jitsu warm-up that I had some of you guys do. So palms face up, keep your elbows tucked in tight. Try to take your thumbs to the back wall. Do some reps there. The elbows in tight. Do we have specific joints or areas of your body you want to hit today? Shoulder? Okay.
traps.
Anything else?
Did it all.
Knees? Okay. Basically bring leg sideways, elbow to shoulder level, okay?
And I'm mostly just getting tailored, just so you guys know. That way, if people want to watch this at
right
home,
here.
they can.
Knuckles back.
I'm gonna
Keep
try
the
to
upper
move
arm
it down a
bone
little.
as your axis. Okay? Palms to the wall, knuckles to the wall. Palms to the wall, knuckles to the wall. Really try to open it up. One more. Okay, then bring your thumbs to your chest, elbows back like a row. Push straight up, biceps to ears, and then row, elbows back. Straight up. And then last thing, we're going to squat, okay? So, make sure we rotate the legs out a little bit, create an arch in our foot, push the knees out, chest up, step to your hips, think about elbows to knees, chest and chin up, squeeze your butt to the top. Couple more. And as I go through the drills today, if you need a modified version of it, let me know. Or just know that I'll also probably give a modified version automatically if I think you might need it, okay? Can you guys hear me okay too? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so the first one, like I said, we're gonna work systemically up the body. So the goal here is, like I said, help you with your form on certain exercises. By feeling what these things feel like, you'll be able to translate that into lifting. But also, you might notice some of you might feel some reductions in pain or inflammation or tightness in certain areas, okay? So the first thing we're going to do, some of you I've done this with, we're going to do what's called the combat stretch or a modified combat stretch. If you don't feel comfortable in this position, then you can use a bench or a box. And you can borrow it from somebody if you need to, okay? But, so as I'm demoing this, go ahead and get in this position with me. What you want is, you want basically your heel lining up with the front of your other foot, okay? You want a 90-degree angle in your hips. Frankie, you can use that box. You've done this one with me, right? Yeah. So go ahead and throw that off, and then if you want to do the modified version, you'll do the same thing, but you'll be standing on a box or a bench like this, okay? So, this is going to help with ankle and knee mobility and hip mobility, which is going to help improve your squats and deadlifts, but also can potentially help with reducing knee pain when you lift, because some knee pain is just from not as ideal a form, and it's not necessarily that you have an injury. So you want to make sure that you have an arch in your foot. Some people have flat feet, which means their feet cave and just lay flat against the floor, which, as you can see, causes my knees to buckle. This is called valgus, or knock knees. But when I rotate my legs out and I create that arch in my foot, notice I'm in a better position to do a proper squat. So I want you to overemphasize that movement. I want you to create this arch, lift the toes off the ground. You're trying to activate these muscles to pull the toes off the ground. And then from here, I'm going to sit my weight into my hips and I'm going to drive my knee forward. Okay? Like that. Keeping my toes off the ground, keeping this arch, not letting my foot flatten. So the way that you do that is you kind of roll the foot out to the outside edge. So the 3 points of contact you want are the ball of the foot behind your big toe, the outside edge of your foot, and your heel. You'll notice if you go too far with this, your heel will come off the ground. We don't want that. I want you to keep your heel on the ground, okay? And as we do that, what's going to happen is you're going to start to feel what it's like to have your foot laid properly when you're deadlifting or squatting, okay? And then once you get that down, and I'll come around and help each of you, I want you to take a big breath in, and then exhale, and travel further forward. And today it's okay if your knee goes past your toes, because we're not bearing a lot of resistance. But if anyone has pain, let me know. And I want you to just do reps of that. Scoot back into your hips, inhale, exhale, and go forward, but don't let the heel come off the ground, okay? We'll be basically stretching the tendons of the large calf muscles on the back of your ankle, which run to the bottom of your foot and to your toes, okay? So go ahead and do reps of that. I'm going to come around and help with your form. So lift your toes, roll the foot out of it, and then go forward. And you don't want to bounce on these stretches. You just want to inhale, exhale, push forward, and hold for like 6, 8, 15 seconds. You'll also probably notice some pressure in your knees and hips. If you experience any pain, let me know. Yeah. You'll notice you may start to see your foot cave and go flat on these, so you just want to try to prevent that by keeping that ankle slightly rolling outward. Yeah, and you'll notice it might be hard to lift your toes, right? Because that's a sign that you might have a lot of tension in these muscles. And you want to go as far forward as you can without your heel coming off the ground. And just keep doing reps while deep breathing, and try to go a little bit further every time. Remember, you also want to have that 90-degree angle in your hips, okay, when you do this movement. Let's stay on that same leg just a little bit more, and if you need a little break, go ahead and take it. Try to roll your foot out slightly and kind of create that arch naturally.
This is amazing.
I love it. Can you lift your toes again higher? There you go. The whole time, try to keep your toes lifting. There you go. Sweet. Good job, Cody. Nice. Okay, do that one more time. Big inhale, big exhale, and let's travel further. Okay, so you'll notice I let my heel come off the ground, so that means I went too far, so I've got to keep my foot placed back. Right there. You should feel this releasing a little bit. Okay, let's switch legs. So, and if you want a different angle, just tell me to turn around or say, hey, asshole, turn around.
Or Corey, get out of the way.
So let's do the other. Toes up, heel, ball of the foot, which is behind the big toe, and the outside edge, all in contact. You have that nice little arch there. Big inhale, exhale, and lean forward. Don't let the heel come off the ground. Raise your hand if you feel like you're having an issue with it, or you're not really sure. Tight hamstring. Tight hamstring. So, okay, I'll come get you guys in a sec. Tight hamstring, that just might mean your foot's a little too far forward. So what you want to do is let's bring it back a little bit, and then we can translate our knee further forward because it allows our hamstring to go into a little bit more of a contraction. But if your heel is too far forward, that might be, the hips might be limiting your ability to travel forward. Would that help? By bringing your heel backwards towards your knee wheel? Yeah. And then remember, you're backing up, inhale, exhale when you go forward, and check your form on each repetition. What was your question? Where are you feeling it? Yeah, so you will feel some pressure here. Let's do this. Scoot your heel back further. And now try to translate forward. And do you feel it more in the Achilles heel now?
Yeah.
Good, there you go. But try to keep your foot in contact with the ground. Roll your foot outward a little bit. And then push it down. If you're not feeling it on the back of your ankle, bring your heel closer to your underneath you, and then it'll let you go further, which will stretch this more. Do you have a question? Oh yeah, good question. So if you're standing and you're doing the modified, then it's kind of the same position. I'm just not on my knee. I'm standing with a 90-degree angle in my hips, and then I go forward this way. Now if my foot's too far back, I'll kind of stop here and I'll feel more hip and knee pressure and less in my ankle. So I got to scoot my foot closer, and then I'll be able to travel further and feel it more here. So your heel is kind of lined up with this heel. You have a 90-degree angle, and then you just move forward or backward a little bit based off that. Does that help? Okay. Nice. Feeling that okay? All right. If you need more, then I would move your knee forward or move your heel back a little bit. And then you can go a little bit further. So try to go a little further this time. Raise your hand if you want me to come by. Let's do one more rep. Big inhale, big exhale, and push further forward. 3 points of contact, outside edge, ball of the foot, heel, toes up. Stretching here. Don't let the heel come up. Okay. Let's give your knees and hips and ankles a break. Stand up and let's shake that out a little bit. So, practical application of that would look like this. Right? Our power stance for deadlifts or squats. You'll see me sometimes in the gym even squatting without shoes and lifting my toes. yes, that will affect my balance a little bit negatively, but if I'm doing it properly, it really helps me see my form, and then I can put my toes back down if I want. But you want to have those arches, outside edge, and then notice what that does to my knees. It opens up my hips. So rather than loading my low back and my knees by having flat feet and buckling, if I just roll the feet out and I externally rotate my knees, I can squat relatively low with a pretty straight spine. Okay? So do a couple of body squats, slow and controlled, overemphasizing the arch. Try to keep your chest and chin up the whole time. And check your foot every time. Toes up, arch in the feet, heel, outside edge, ball of the foot. And so this week as we go, well next week as we go into your workouts, take these techniques into your exercises. Monday's leg day this next week. And I want you to look at adding these little techniques in and just see how it affects your movements. It does take a lot of time of doing these things regularly to see it benefit your form, but I've got videos for all of this too on our YouTube channel, so you can review it over and over again. Okay? All right, take a break. Catch your breath, grab some water if you need it. Next thing, we're going to do hips, okay? I'll do something for the knee as well, but let's go to hips for now. So, this is going to be the 90-90 stretch. Many of you know it, but we're going to overemphasize some details. So, if you need a modification for this, we're not running back. Okay. Can anybody not sit on the floor? In like this position or this position? Okay, cool. So, the 90-90 is going to help specifically with some small muscles underneath your big butt cheek muscle that attach to your tailbone part of the spine, okay? And some people have sciatic nerve pain, they have low back pain, or SI joint pain, which is like your hip bone that's attached to that spine, that lower part of your spine. They can get, irritation, agitation in those areas. So the 90-90 stretch really helps with that, but it also helps with stretching your muscles so you can sit deeper, again, into squats or deadlifts or hip hinging movements, lunges, step ups, that kind of thing. So what you want to do is you want to take one leg and make a 90-degree angle in the knee, and then take the other leg and make a 90-degree angle in that knee. So you have kind of this box here, and then a box here. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want you to try to get those angles pretty close to perfect. And then, one thing we can do is we can still emphasize that foot arch even in this, just for getting our muscles acclimated to putting our feet in that position. Now this is an important component right here. We can't just start here because it won't be very effective. You need to pick your body up and scoop your hip to the side. You see that right there? That movement, I know it's a little hard to execute, that's going to make it more effective. So go ahead and let's do that. One more time. Scoop, whoop, like that. Okay? Then I'll come check your form. Now from here, it's really important that you hinge from your hips and not the low back, spine, or belly button. Okay, so let me show you how they look different. Okay, this is from the hips. This is from the low back. You see the difference? So you want to try to keep your shoulders back, chest up, and then tip from that hip as if you're doing like a Romanian deadlift. Okay, and you should start to feel a big stretch in your butt cheek or those deep muscles, and you may even feel some tight hamstring, which is okay. You would just bring the heel in a little closer if your hamstrings are kind of lighting up. So I'm going to come help you guys out. And if you can even like see the form in my back if it's too long. When I do this, kind of like when we do good morning. See how my low back and my head and my shoulders are still in contact with the PVC pipe, and I'm not rounding. That's another way that you can make sure your spine is straight. you feel it okay? Here? Okay. Feel that in your butt cheek? Feel that? Right? Here we go. Good. That's pretty good. Yeah. Feel it in your butt cheek? Oh yeah. Good, good. Bam. Butt cheek. Feel it again. Julia, do you feel it here?
Did she say don't call me butt cheek?
Yeah. Call it butt cheek. Feel that? Cody, Chantel?
Yeah.
Good? Okay. All right. Now, don't get out of that position. I want you to really try to do this slowly. Like, it shouldn't be a quick transition, and I don't want you to rush it. I want you to keep your two heels in contact with the ground and your butt. And I just want you to go like this. Take this hand, reach back. Slowly. Take the inside of this knee to where that one is. Slow, 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 slow. Do not lift off the floor and then place down. And if you did it properly, you should be almost at a 90-degree angle in your knees again. Okay? If you're not, it's okay. You just moved a little. Now we bring that left hand back, or whatever that arm is for you. And then pick yourself up. Do the hip scoop. Remember, we scoop it out, set back down, straighten our spine, big inhale, exhale, and tip from your hips till you feel it stretching the butt cheek. And you probably feel it, if you do it properly, you'll feel it deeper than that. You'll feel it in those muscles we talked about underneath the gluteus maximus. Feel it coming? Yeah. Right. Yeah, good. Right. Right. Yeah, good. Man. Good. Good. Oh, good. Rachel and Colin, good. Feel it? Yes, no? Like up here? Yeah? Or
Like greater throat cancer.
Oh, okay.
attachment area.
Try bringing your heel underneath you a little bit more on the front leg. Is that okay? Is that better or worse?
I just had it
Good, Chantal? Good? Okay, all right. Now we have this down. We're going to slowly, not rapidly, do that transition back and forth. So don't move yet. Let's do it together. Okay, so take the hand, reach behind you. Then take the inside of the front knee to where the other one was. Pivoting simultaneously. See, I did that a little wrong because my ankles are off. I'm going to start over. Okay, and then pick yourself up and adjust, and then take forward. And now we're going to kind of do this into a little bit of a flow. All right, so let's go back and pivot again. Scoop the hip, tip forward. Come out of it when you're ready, and we can start to go at our own pace now, okay? Pivot back. Again, don't rush it. You want to try to keep your form good. Tip again on the other side. Come up when you're ready. And pivot. You could also just do this if you want to. This is good hip drill right here. Okay? I'm going to come check on you guys as you go through those. Pick your poison.
Taylor, do you have a standing version?
Standing version. Oh,
After
yeah,
you
good
check
question.
everyone.
So if you needed a
Like
version
at
you can't
home.
do on the floor, the best thing to do is to get a bench or an ottoman or the edge of a couch. You can do like a figure four like this, but this is more of an advanced yoga position, so that's kind of hard. You can't balance on one leg, so you could use a surface like this. Okay? You just want to be careful that you don't put too much pressure in your knee when you do this because you can accidentally go too low, and then you're putting pressure on that knee going out this direction. So you just want to be mindful of that and careful. But you could do this right here, and then I slowly lower myself. But that's a pretty radical stretch because you can see how much lower I can get now. It's kind of like the Bulgarian split squat version of the 90-90 stretch. But that would be an option you could do in place of being on the floor. Just a little bit more advanced, so you want to take, caution when you do that. Okay, keep going back and forth with that. Raise your hand if you want me to specifically from bottom. And if you're doing it properly, you should really feel it on each and every repetition. And if you don't, just reset your form. 90-degree bend in both knees. Heels on the ground. And then pivot. You guys get over here. Cool. Let's do one more on each side and then we'll move on, okay? Any questions about the modified or combat stretch or the 90-90? Nope. Okay. Again, I've got videos for these on the YouTube channel. This YouTube Iron Allies Fitness, and you'll see them in there. And you can review these at home. I do these almost every single night, you guys. About 10 to 15 minutes. It helps the time, especially with my quality of sleep. Actually, I sleep better when I stretch before bed. Okay, so let's come out of that. Stand up and try to get some blood flowing. So next, you're going to need a PVC pipe. Okay. So grab one out of your square. If you don't have one, I have extras right here. And if someone needs the one I have, I'll take the rainbow one. That's just awesome. Yeah, sorry, some of those are a little bit heavier, some are a little lighter. And actually, you know what, I'm going to show you, because that one's a little too flimsy. Yeah, you need some good stability. All right, so I'm going to teach you, we've done some warm-up windmills in class, but I'm going to teach you technically the more proper windmill. This is too short. So, real quick, what I've shown you in class sometimes, or what we've shown you in class, is a little bit easier version. You're kind of in this star position right here. Okay, and that's a good way to start if you need to. But if you, that's gonna help more with, some hamstring flexibility and a little bit of lateral or side flexibility in the spine. But I wanna help you guys get some rotational flexibility, okay? So we're gonna do this a little different. Let's start with the beginner one, and then I'll transition you to the more advanced version. So you want your feet wider than shoulder width. Open them out about a 45-degree angle. Okay, and then literally just gonna do what I did. Roll your shoulders back, chest up, and then you're just gonna slowly take one side to the inside of your foot. And if that's too hard, then your knees a little, okay? But I want you to try not to if you can help it. Remember to take these movements slowly. Okay? If it's too hard, you can even scoot your feet in a little bit. If you have really tight hamstrings, scoot your feet in a little bit. And I actually want you to hold, if you can. So tip, and I want you to hold. Okay? There's some nuances to this and how you do it properly with the feet on the next one, but this will just kind of get you warmed up. Okay, let's switch sides if you haven't already. Inside of the foot. And ideally, you want your fingertips to touch, because you can do a windmill actually without a PVC pipe. Yeah, you can do kettlebell windmills, but it's pretty advanced ones. So that's why we're going to start with pipes. So do a couple more reps on each side just to get your body acclimated to this. I don't want you to experience pain, so I want you to take it slow and let your muscles get a little acclimated to this range of motion, okay? do it like a heavy lift, but do challenge your flexibility. All right, so take a break, shake it out a little bit. So now we'll try a little bit more proper version. So we want that same stance that we had earlier, okay? The arches in the feet, roll, like externally rotate the knees out a little. Notice I'm just kind of overemphasizing so you can see those movements. And then what you want to do is place one foot slightly forward. So your heel is in line with your big toe. You know, like creates a straight line from these two, okay? But keep it hip distance apart. Make sure you have the arch because the tendency will be to cave your knees now. So keep the arch. Then, just like we do a good morning, keep your PVC pipe where it's at, but just like we do a good morning, I want you to back your hips up. Okay, you see that? I bend my knees a little bit, and I back my hips up. Now, from there, I take my arm inside. Right there. Okay, take some time. I know it's real. Your hamstring's gonna be real tight. So watch what I do with my hips. See how I can lower my hips and I can loosen the hamstring intensity. Right. Slow. Yes, and we are going to get to shoulders next too. So maybe try this without the pipe. If you're ready to try without the pipe, you can, but the pipe right now helps your posture. So go forward. I would literally go here. And then I would look up to the ceiling. Okay? But without that pipe, the tendency will be to round your body. So you want to be mindful of not doing that. This one's pretty advanced, so I'm going to come by and help you. And it's okay, because a lot of us probably aren't going to do this right today. But that's okay, because you can start to work on this over time. And like I said, we're working on rotational flexibility in your thoracic spine, the mid-spine. So if you can get into this position, it's a good indicator that you have relatively good rotational flexibility. Okay. So let's bring that a little higher. So let's move on. Yeah, and then point both of them straight. There you go. Now, arches. Roll the knees out. Bend a little. Sit into your hips. Good one. So, sit over here. And then straight. Now bring this one. So, yeah. Now wheels up. And if you can't get low, you guys, drop the hips more like a squat. Yeah, you don't want any locked knees and just a slight bend, but if you can't get down, you can bend more, and that will allow you to get in there. Switch this hand. Good thing to point out. The leg that is forward, right now, that's the hand, that's the side of the hand that you want to touch. If we do the opposites, it's extremely difficult. So if your left leg is forward, you're touching with your left hand. If your right foot is forward, you're touching with your right hand, okay? I'm going to come around and help you guys out. Great. Now, back them up. Both toes on the floor. Sorry, you'll notice this is like a pretty sweaty workout, right? Just from holding these poses. And then if you want to try it without the PVC pipe, go ahead. There. Does that feel better? Good. Yeah, better. Bend that. Great. Good one, Yulia. Yulia, you should just come up here and teach the rest of the class, okay? Now try it without the PVC pipe. Some people are having an easier time. And switch legs if you haven't already. Or if if you want to just keep drilling it on one side till you get it and then move on to the next side, that's fine. Okay? So we're here. As I bring the same side hand down, I'm going to look up to my fingers and I want to try to rotate, opening my chest to the wall. Like that, okay? And if you can't quite get your fingers to your toes, no problem. Try to bend your knees a little bit. And that'll let you sink a little deeper. So one more time with that, we'll do it like this. Up and, oh, I'm stuck here. And my knees. And then go a little further. Make sure both of your feet are pointing forward. And your toe is in line with your heel. And let's try that other side if you haven't already. Switch side. Arches in the feet. Soft bend in the knees. Keep hip distance in between your legs. You all want that thigh gap, right? Reach up. Over the chest. And fingers go to the inside of that foot on the same side. You can adjust, bending your knees more to allow for some more depth if you need to. Okay? All right, flow through that one more time on either side as desired. Both sides evenly if you can today. Okay, here we go, right? Oh, here we go. You in? Rachel? Good? Paul? Good? All right, let's relax from that. Okay, so, good thing to notice was it probably was hard for some of you to execute that, especially with the PVC pipe, because of shoulder limitations. Who had that issue? Raise your hand. Okay, cool. Perfect. So that's what we're going to work on next. So as you'll notice, everything's kind of systemic. The arches and that knee external rotation and the 90-90 all helped us translate into that window position. And now we felt something that was lacking with the shoulders. So this next one, the wall test, will help make other things even better. So you're going to want to find a spot on the wall and scoop that slide out and just use by the logo. Everybody find a spot on the wall. Frankie, why don't you go back and, like, if you're okay, you know, sharing a little bit of space, try to socially distance. Here, let's take it down. One of you can go there probably. And then, just like straddle your toe up.
Yeah.
Does that work? Okay. I thought I was going to have enough wall space. So, yes. You okay with that?
By the
I'm gonna
banner,
demo
yeah.
where mine's at so everyone can see me, and then, yeah. Okay. So this one's going to be tough, and we're all probably going to fail it, but that's okay. So back your heels, including me, back your heels and your butt against the wall. Okay? Nicole, do you have a spot? Okay. You can use mine when you're done here. Actually, squeeze over there. There's room here too. Yeah. Okay, now, touch your head and your shoulders against the wall. Who already feels awkward? Yeah, so we're going to basically help elongate your spine and then work on some shoulder mobility to make your posture better, especially standing upright. Now, probably all of us, our shoulders are rolling forward right now. So what I want you to do is I want you to roll them up, down, and back, and your elbows or hands or head or calves or shoulders come off the wall. And try to lock out your elbows overhead. And notice my elbows came off the wall here. Okay, so I'm failing it too. And this may actually be pretty uncomfortable, you guys. That's okay. If you're experiencing some extreme pain, let me know. I'm going to come help you. Bring it back down. Reset everything. Shoulder blades, head, calves, heels, butt. Inhale. Keep your thumb and elbow against the wall. Push. And keep going. I want to hear breathing like that because you got to get these muscles to relax a little bit. So raise your hand or just holler at me if you want help.
Take your tongue out.
Okay, I'm going to start over here. Go through repetitions of that. It's not uncommon that your arm may fall asleep, right? So, you and I have done this. Can you get your heels close? There you go. Breathe now. Do the best that you can, okay? That's right. Thumbs against the wall, palms facing each other. Try to back your elbows against the wall. And I want you guys to, like your body is resisting this movement. So do your very best to keep everything touching the whole time. It's going to be an intense workout to fight your body's tension. It's going to want to cave you in again. Like we sit, we do computer stuff, we text. We're doing this all day. And I'm overemphasizing that. But that is, I mean, you've seen, older individuals who they're walking through the store like this, right? Because gravity has just pulled on them their whole life. So we've got to open that up and resist that pull of gravity and put our skeleton in a more proper anatomical position, which really is this. And it feels awkward because gravity wants me to do this. Okay? So let's keep doing reps of that. Take your arms and shake them out if you need a little break. That's okay. If it literally feels like you're going to fall off the wall because you can't keep your feet against the wall or something, go ahead and scoot them just far enough forward to keep your balance. Reset the shoulder blades. Suck them flat against the wall. Thumbs touch the wall. You're basically trying to do this. Okay? If you feel some tension releasing or even some popping that isn't painful, that's usually normal. If it's painful, please stop and let me know. But there's a lot of these internal shoulder muscles that cause internal rotation and thus protracting or reaching of that shoulder blade forward. So it's really hard for us to get back into that normal position and be able to do a pressing movement. But that's what this will help with, is overhead presses and your bench press and your pull-ups. So another example of application for this would be, how many of you do pull-ups like this? You see how my chest is rounded forward? I'm really far away from the bar. So basically, I'm caving in because I have all that internal rotation issues. So I need to do external rotation, and then notice the difference. So this will help with a lot of upper body push and pull movements. Shake your arms out again. Take a breath. Let's try that again. Heels, calves, butt cheeks, shoulder blades, elbows and fingers and head or thumbs. Against the wall, push up. That's okay. It's pretty common to have your elbows come off the wall. I still want you to try to reach further, because this is usually a stretch further than you've done probably in a long time. Any further? No? Even if you let something come off the wall. Is it hurting the shoulder? Take it easy. Again, if you have pain, I I don't want you to drive further into the pain. It should be uncomfortable, it should be challenging, but I don't want you in pain, okay? Good. That's really good. Without feeling your fault. That's fine. So you can scoot your heels forward a little bit, and over time, you'll want to try to get your heels close to the wall. Everybody's body's a little different. Okay. So now go ahead and go back to your space on the floor, and I want you to put yourself in that position on the floor. Okay. This is an easier version, but I want you to feel what that feels like. So now I'm laying on the floor and I can use gravity to work with me. Notice if I do the shoulder thing, I let them sink against the floor, and then actually your chest will rise if you do this properly. If I bring my shoulders down towards my butt, that sucks them flat against the floor, and my chest is now being brought up by a string. See that? Okay, take some time to watch that real quick. Thumbs against the floor. And let's go ahead and do that technique again. Push. And you should find it easier to execute this now because gravity's working with you. And then I'll show you how this is going to help again with some of your pressing movements. Another thing you can do, if you do this carefully with a partner, we're not going to do it today because of social distancing, but you can have someone very carefully help stretch you into that position. Like if my thumb can't touch the floor, they can lightly push and stretch me a little bit further. You can do the wall break. Go through some repetitions of this, and every rep, reset your thumb, your elbow, your shoulder blade.
Are you doing okay?
Yeah, once I lay on the floor, I'm
palms are
done.
facing each other.
Yeah, I
Your
know.
thumbs touching the
You
floor.
can do it standing still. Trying to figure out this camera thing. Sorry about all the movements.
Emphasize every single inch. Try to do every single inch perfectly, or as perfect as you can. Don't let the chest cave around forward. Pull the sternum with that marionette string. And try to clasp your hands together over your head while still touching the floor.
So if I feel popping in one shoulder, is that?
Does it hurt?
No, but
Okay.
I mean, it's just that one side is a little worse off than the other,
Yeah.
I guess.
It's pretty normal to have
is that
one
okay?
side worse than the other. Yeah. And
Okay.
what it is you have certain tension in certain muscles that is causing it to resist more on that side going into the position you want it in. And so your shoulder is not tracking properly is what it's called. It just means it's not running in the normal pathway that would be anatomically correct or biomechanically correct. And so you're getting some articulations between bones or tendons that are creating those clicking or popping sounds. So it's normal as long as there's no pain. And this is why we want to do that drill, or this drill, is because it's going to help over time get your body tracking a little bit more properly. Yeah, that's a good question. All right, so staying where you're at. Now what I want you to do is mimic a bench press, okay? So slide those shoulder blades flat against the floor. Lift the chest with the string, okay? Take your thumbs to your nipples and then go out slightly from there. And then I just want you to keep the shoulder blades against the floor with the chest puffed up, and then punch the ceiling and squeeze your chest muscles together by bringing your fists together in the middle above your chest. Like you're doing a bench press or a warm-up bench press with a resistance band. But keep your shoulder blades sucked against the floor. So when we do heavier strength days, yeah, you can use a PVC pipe to mimic it as well. Why don't you grab your PVC pipe if you want to mimic that? This is going to make a big difference on your strength on your bench press and your shoulder press. If you set those shoulders properly, you can do this against the wall. Because if you get those shoulder blades flat against the bench or the floor when you're doing these presses, you create way more wide-based stability, and you can actually push a lot more weight and more comfortably in your shoulder. If you tend to have shoulder problems or pain when you're lifting on a pressing movement, it's probably because you're not setting the shoulder blades properly like we are today. And so whenever you're doing a chest fly, a bench press, with dumbbells or barbell or resistance bands, over-exaggerate the shoulders being set, puff the chest up, and you'll find your shoulders will begin to track more properly, and a lot of popping or discomfort can all of a sudden go away a lot of the time. Right there. Now push. Keep your shoulder blades flat. Back. You okay, Rachel? Shoulder feeling better or worse? You okay over here? Okay. Awesome. Another cue that will help with this is when you're bench pressing or when you're doing this kind of horizontal push is I want you to try to, as you're squeezing your pecs, touch the insides of your elbows together, or try to have your biceps touch each other. That will help you kind of actively recruit that pec muscle, but in that position where your shoulders are back. Because if you're doing that, then you're not rounding like this. Some people bench press and they end up, they're kind of doing a barrel hug kind of a thing. So set the shoulders down and back. And if you need a break, let's take a break from that. You guys have been doing a lot of work. Okay. Let's see.
Can you show us on the floor what it's supposed to look like?
Yeah.
Your shoulders?
Yeah. So let's see, we did ankle. Oh, we'll show you one more knee thing. So gather around if you want. I mean, like, just enough to get a view. Don't like crowd. I don't like crowds. And come take a look at the subtleties. Actually, I'll do it on a bench because that's going to be more appropriate. So that way you can kind of see how this works. So grab a view. You can stand up because we won't be on the floor for a sec. All right, so you'll even notice oftentimes I'll set my shoulders first because that'll create stability around holding the weights. Now some of you may or may not be comfortable getting into position this way, but this is how I prefer to do it so it doesn't hurt my shoulders. And then notice how I was able to do that without really losing my posture. Now I'm gonna reset. So I'm doing a dumbbell or barbell bench press. See how I'm reaching? Okay, that's not going to be proper. I'm literally trying to push these dumbbells off of me. I don't want to do that where I'm rounding. I want to work with gravity. So I let it sink, flatten my shoulder blades, and then puff my chest up. You see how that happens? Dramatic difference right here. Okay, then from there, I want a slight angle in my arms. I don't want to be coming out really wide here, because that's going to put a lot of pressure on my shoulders. I want to be more like here. Okay, maybe even a little angle in the dumbbells. And then I push see how you can reach a little. Gotta keep my shoulders flat against the bench. Okay. So that whole time I'm just maintaining that position. It's a lot harder because your body wants to fight you on it and it wants to do what it wants to do. But you got to have the discipline to put yourself there. So did we all see that difference? Okay, cool. So every time you do a chest press or fly, I mean pretty much anytime you do an upper body movement or a lower body movement, I want you to pull the string and set back like this. And you'll know you're sitting properly if your hands touch your thighs. Because watch what happens to my hands when I don't have good posture. Where are they? They're in front. Okay? So, back like that. If they're resting on my thighs, I know I've got my upper body in a good position. And then now we've come full circle, right? So, arches in the feet. Slight external rotation of the knee. Okay? We're not doing any rotational movements right now, but I'm engaging my core and my glutes, and I pull the string up. This is technically how you should probably be standing. And then, you can squat, right? You can do a horizontal push. You can do a vertical push. You can do a deadlift, right? Feels awkward, but it's just because you don't stand that way normally. But you want to try to, when we're working out especially, stand that way as much as possible. Cool? Okay. All right. Any questions? We're at 11:30, so if you want me to go over something specific, I'm happy to stay a little bit longer. I have a commitment at 12, so I have to be done by then. And I'm happy to show you how to relieve some knee pain with self-myofascial release or foam rolling. Who wants, I'll just do open Q&A at this point, or you guys can bounce. So, any special requests?
I got a question.
Foam roll knee pain? Yeah. Yeah?
When you're driving on the bench, and your arch is taught to keep your foot as far under your knee as possible. Is that a good thing or not?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even talk about that, so I don't know where my feet were, huh?
Yours were in front. I
A little bit
didn't
in front?
know if they should be, like I said, I was always taught to drive further back and plank your heels.
Yeah, you want to create as much stability as possible when lifting, especially. So what he was saying is having pretty much like a 90-degree angle where your heel is underneath your knee when you're bench pressing, because that will actually create better stability for you. I didn't emphasize that, so I'm not sure if I did that properly or not. But when I lay back, these benches are a little bit tall, but see, if I bring my feet forward, I might lose some stability. And I don't know, are my heels under my knees?
And then
Okay,
power
so I'm
lift
at
is
about
bringing
90
back
angle here.
farther.
That's going to create a little bit
But they do
better
it because they
driving
use
power
their butt
and
and
stability
hands.
for me. You just, on this movement, you don't want to push through your legs to the
Depends,
point where you love
bodybuilding
the
versus
bench.
powerlifting.
Okay?
a
It's
little
okay
bit.
as
Like if you're going for a
normal to
mount,
have some
you want to
space
probably
under
pull
your
them
low
in
back,
closer.
because that's how our spine is
Yeah.
curved. We
But
naturally
if
have
you're
a little
going
bit of
like
curve here. And that puts
6
your chest
reps or
in the right
more,
position.
then
But you don't
you
want to
want,
be
like, more
overarching or
yeah,
raising your butt off
Yeah.
the bench for, safety. Yeah, you will see competitive power lifters.
Bye.
Or
Thanks,
strength
Blaine.
lifting. They will do a special technique for that sport. It is more effective, but it's also more risky. So we don't coach that personally. Yes, sir.
I only do it for one.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Did
we
that
don't
help?
do extremely arched just because it's like harder on your back.
Do we feel better?
But yeah, if you do a little
feel
bit
more
on your max
mobile?
and you know how.
Good. Oh, I don't do that full series, but I usually do 15 minutes a night. Yeah. But I also go a little bit faster
2
for
hours.
these things too. So I wanted to go slow and make sure everybody got it down. Uh-huh. Combat stretch, modified combat stretch, or right here.
Okay.
And then it could just be an electrolyte deficiency too. So make sure if you're tracking your food and fitness pal that you're getting enough sodium and potassium and calcium and magnesium, because that is often the cause of cramps, is just deficiencies in electrolytes.
Does anybody have any elbow pain?
Again,
I mean, I do.
I do,
So
yeah.
that's why
okay,
I was just
this is a
wondering.
good week
Right
actually,
in your
yeah.
elbow.
So, I forgot. I have videos on all this, so if you're like, oh, I missed out, I go in detail with these on the YouTube channel, and I'll do the knee thing next. So you want to find a hard surface, ideally like a table, because this gives a little bit, and you get one of these balls. It's a lacrosse ball, or if you type in myo, M-Y-O, fascial, F-A-S-C-I-A-L, release ball on Amazon, this will come up. And they're super cheap and they're really effective, especially for days like today where we did so much pulling. A lot of us, we never stretch these forearm muscles or the extensor muscles. And all of the pulling, gripping muscles attached to this one little bony landmark on the inside of your elbow. So you literally take that ball, and when you do myofascial release, it's not comfortable. It's not supposed to feel good during, but it'll feel good after. And then you apply pressure, okay? And you literally have to put weight into it, and you'll feel it. You'll be like, oh, ow. And then you're gonna pull. And you'll watch my fingers are gonna curl. And then I'm gonna come back, and then they'll release. And you want it to be that aggressive because you're basically giving yourself a deep tissue massage, roughly. I'm not a massage therapist, so I couldn't really compare it. Maybe Rachel could tell us, but close enough, yeah. You want that effect because you want to re-elongate the muscles where they have created all this built-up tension, and that'll help decrease the inflammation in the tendons. And just by doing a few reps of that, you should notice that some of that tensile elbow pain right here already starts to go away. So the reason why I wanted to do today's seminar is pretty much because if you haven't suffered an acute injury, but you have joint pain, it's almost 100% of the time resolved by doing this kind of stuff. Everything we did today. It's just mobility drills that you need to do that will help relieve the discomfort in those areas if you haven't sustained an injury. Cool? All right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And if you want, thanks for the claps. I'll show you one more if you want to stay. It's up to you. I'm going to show this for Cody and Chantel. For knee pain that is not related to an injury, but is just chronic. Again, I have a video for it if you want. The iliotibial band is this big piece of fascial connective tissue that your quads and your glutes and your hamstrings all attach to. When we do all those deadlifts and squats and lunges, we're contracting, contracting, contracting. So it's pulling on that fascial tissue, and sometimes it can just cause you to move your legs in a way where your knee isn't tracking properly. So like if I do a lunge and my knee comes in this way, or if when I squat I'm hyper externally rotated, just some of these different accidental little movements can build up tensile force in the IT band, and even if you're doing things properly, it's still going to get tight. So you've probably seen this done a lot, but I do this one also pretty much every night, or at least 5 nights a week. And it runs from the side of your knee, side top of your knee, up into your hip. And so what you want to do is lay on the hip. You want to be facing that direction horizontally. Some of you, if you lay here like this, it will immediately be like, I don't want to do that. Okay? And if it's that intense, you know this is what you need to do because it's so tight and sensitive. But you'll notice I'm not even experiencing any discomfort right now because I do this a lot. And then what you want to do is slowly roll 1 inch and let it relax. Roll 1 inch and let it relax. roll 1 inch and let it relax. And you're just going to do that for any muscle, but this movement too. Okay? And that's a common contributor to knee pain. It's not the only answer. You can also lighten the load by driving your foot into the floor and then lightly laying your body down and then slowly going. Okay? But you pretty much want to roll this whole length.
And how it's cracking.
That's one contributor. The other is we do so much quad movement and contracting. All 4 of these muscles run into a tendon that attaches to the kneecap and the tendon that holds that and then attaches down here. So honestly, after I do my IT
Camera's
bands,
being
I will
weird.
roll my
It's
quads,
moving around all weird.
which is not comfortable. Okay? Basically, I'll hold this back and I'll start at my hip and I will just roll 1 inch at a time. And again, this is like a workout in and of itself, just to hold yourself here. But again, what you're doing is you're letting those fibers and the tension release and let them set properly where they belong instead of being tight all the time, which is pulling on the kneecap. And then the last culprit would be the hamstrings. Will come around and they actually wrap around into the front right here. So you can have pain here, and it's actually these guys. So some of the typical hamstring stretches we do, right? Like just sit and reach type stretch. But sometimes that won't get it enough. You'll want to foam roll it, and this one is really hard to execute. You could even do a ball. Sit on that ball and just slowly move your body. Yeah, like up and down this way. But if you can get into this position, it does work really well. Right up underneath your butt cheek. Okay? And then I'll go here. And then I'll just slowly move my body back. Okay? 1 inch at a time. Oh, that hurts. Yeah. But that's one. Also, you can still hit this guy with doing a straddling one too, right? About here. In the knee, but then you're going to start to hit the inner thigh muscles, which are different. So this would be different than if you could get like right there.
Just do the splits.
Yeah. I know some of these are harder. That's why I didn't want to show a lot of these today, because I don't know if we could all get in that position. But hopefully that stuff helps as well. Cool?
Yay!
Okay.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, thanks guys.